I knew very little about suicide, mental illness, even though I was in the health profession. I was devastated when David took his life. I frankly thought my life had ended at that point. I've always been a pretty strong individual, but I became very fragile for quite some period of time. I knew that I needed to make a positive out of a very tragic situation. And even though I didn't care if I lived or died immediately after that, for probably about a year, I knew I needed to make a difference in David's memory and in his honor. I went into therapy at that point after he died. I was in therapy at least once or twice a week for over a year. There wasn't much available in the way of resources back at that time. Very little resources. Huge stigma. We talk about stigma being pretty huge today still, but 25 years ago it was even worse. And being a health professional, I carried that huge guilt and shame and blame and all of those negative terms, carried those with me for a long time. Like, what didn't I see? What didn't I do? You know, people are going to think I'm a bad nurse. People are going to think I'm a bad mom. That was really tough for a long, long time. I was very blessed to be surrounded by a very supportive family. And I had a lot of very dear friends who were mental health professionals. And so I had that rock and had that support system that really helped me a lot at that time. Helped me to survive, to get through those difficult times. Back then people didn't want to talk about it. And now people don't want to talk about him either, 25 years later. It's like he never existed. And that's the hard part now at this point in time for me. Because I love to talk about him. I'm not uncomfortable talking about him. Sometimes I cry, sometimes I don't cry, most of the time I don't. But I never know when it's going to happen, and it's okay if it does. You are not alone. There is a huge community of us who has survived the loss that we've all experienced. And I personally am here to walk beside that person. We do not grieve in the same way. Everybody grieves in their own way, in their own time frame. I can't walk in anybody else's shoes as to what they're experiencing, but I can walk along beside them and support them.